What you talking about now, Cine? I don't know, but you're gonna get some nuggets out of it though. But first, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn that bell on. There's a new video series dropping every Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the random jam session whenever I'm in my bag. You do not want to miss out. Also, be sure to check out my books, man. The link's in the description below, right along with my vegan class if you're trying to go plant-based and stay plant-based. I'm telling you, it works. Oh, and lastly, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_scene_. The nuggets I don't put over here, I put over there, so you can always get me when you need me. But you ain't really coming for all of that. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out. So, this is not like no fucking warp zones and shit. Don't get me wrong. Like, this is just for conversation sakes and association with words. You feel what I'm saying? Your first dimension is your root chakra. Now again, it all goes back into geometry still. As I said, we talked about the square and the circle, but now we're going to elaborate on the different dynamics and shapes. So the first dimension is the singularity point. It's the solidarity point. It's the period. You feel what I'm saying? The second dimension is the line. You feel what I'm saying? You have a direction now. Two different points with a direction in between. You feel what I'm saying? But then you can enhance that, make squares, you make the small shapes or whatnot like that. That's the second dimension. The third dimension was you add another variation to it, which is say the width, length, width, and height. So you add that third dimension to it. But that's still only the first three. So the fourth dimension is you can't even form a shape out of that because there's nothing else that it can connect to it because there's something outside of that. That's where the heart chakra is. The heart chakra itself is the fourth dimension. You feel what I'm saying? So then your fifth, sixth, and seventh dimension, of course, is your next chakras up. But each one comes to a new solidarity point where the geometry gets different. That's where you go from physical geometry. Then you go to the metaphysical geometry, which is the sacred geometry, which is a whole different dynamic, which you get the dodecadons and all of that other shit to it. But again, that's too complex for what is being associated with here. You feel what I'm saying? So once you get out over the the heart chakra, now you're at that point of fourth dimensional information. So the fourth dimensional level always comes with grief. You feel me? The reason why trauma is the degree of separation between the third and the fifth dimension is through the bridge of the fourth dimension, right? But in order to come through the fourth dimension, you have to experience a significant amount of trauma. I know, it seems so fucked up. It seems so fucked up. Most motherfuckers will never get to the fifth dimension unless they are able to conquer the trauma that they face, because that's where the grief is and that's where it blocks it. The trauma and the grief go hand in hand. You feel what I'm saying? To master that and understand it doesn't make you a morbid individual. It doesn't make you a heartless individual or a motherfucker who doesn't care anymore. What it does is it transitions you to the fifth, to where you're now able to see life for what it is. You're not able to see death for what it is. That's what the first couple dimensions are. It's about seeing death for what it is. You know, how many of us say that we're living to die? You know what I mean? How many of us have accepted that we're living to die? But that's not here nor there. That's not here nor there. I don't want to dwell on that and make anybody feel sad and, relive any things like that. So once you understand that fourth chakra, you go into your fifth, which is the lies that you hear and the lies that you tell. You really start to understand what a lie is. You do. Now, this is another point. This is why, like, the whole situation, a lot of this shit still gonna revolve around belief systems. Because now, when you get to the lies that you hear and the lies that you tell, then you start to get upset with yourself because you've been telling lies that you have now acknowledged as lies. And that's why when you go back to the understanding of truth is relative, you can understand how lies are so easily told. And lies can be easily told. You're able to see a different dynamic. But that comes from understanding that dynamic. This is why the frequency of sound is associated with lies, because lies are vocal. You feel what I'm saying? Lies are vocal. But once you can start to see through the lies and shit, you now have to deal with this capacity too. Because they understand, all right, as long as we got motherfuckers in belief systems, who the fuck cares? But it's the motherfuckers that get out of the belief systems and they start to go a little bit higher. They're coming into their different degrees of consciousness. So by now, if you add it up and you're by now, associated with the crown, not the crown, the throat chakra, you gotta think about it. That's the fifth one. That's the fifth one up. So you have 8 degrees, you feel me? You have 8 degrees plus 16 degrees plus 24 degrees plus 32 degrees plus 40 degrees. That's where you are in that. And just think that's damn near over 50% of the consciousness of the 360 degrees of consciousness. It's very important. So now, when you're now at that point, what it's gonna do is when you get to this point where you can see through the lies and hear the light, you just stop telling your own lies, and you just be honest, and you say, okay, this is what the reality is. You now start to uncover deeper. I can't even think of the word right now. I'm drawing a blank, but whatever. You start to uncover a different reality. It's your reality, not the reality that was imposed upon you. So at this stage, this is where people feel like they're losing their mind, but they're not. They're losing the mind that was given to them.